is doing that. Change is hard. You know, every time I hear somebody talking about a spiritual workshop that they're going to do, it seems like they promise that if you come to this workshop, in 3 hours, you're going to be transformed. You know, you're going to grow spiritually, but I never hear the word change. I don't hear the word change. You know, oh yes, yeah, I want to be transformed, you know, I want to grow spiritually, but I don't want to have to change anything. Does that make any sense? I mean, how does that work? How can that possibly work? Spiritual growth, transformation of consciousness requires us to change. So when we say that we're progressive, it means that we embrace change. Change means progress. Evolution is good. We learn to embrace change because it's the only foundation for transformation and growth. I mean true transformation and growth, because we're talking about something, you know, we're not talking about just rearranging the furniture or putting on a different tie. You know, we call that, it's the same dance, different partner. It's not the kind of change we're talking about. The kind of change is at the level of consciousness. That's where it's going to make the greatest difference in the world. And for the first time in human history, we truly have the technology and the resources to do some amazing things in the world. We have the resources and the technology to bring the worst of our global problems to an end. Things like poverty, ignorance, disease, environmental degradation. Those things don't have to be the plague that they are. We've got the technology and the resources, but what we don't have is the will, the consciousness, and the vision to make that happen. So that's why the shift in consciousness is essential. Progressive means that we as a spiritual community want to be on the leading edge of that shift in consciousness. We don't want to just be along for the ride. We want to be driving the bus, if possible, or at least helping with the navigation of it. We want to be leading the way in that shift. And the shift is happening. It is starting to happen. People who study the developmental psychology of human beings over the course of our entire history are starting to see signs of that shift. There's a book called Integral Consciousness by Steve McIntosh. And he summarizes some of the characteristics that mark this emerging stage. They call it the integral stage or integral consciousness that's going to lead us into that next level. And it consists of these things here. Characteristics of the integral stage of consciousness. Deeper self-awareness. In other words, becoming familiar with and aware of our inner landscape. It's characterized by confidence in the potential of evolution. Again, we embrace change because we know that that's leading us forward. Personal responsibility, that's a big one, because if we are radically free, then that means that we are totally responsible for our actions and the ramifications of those actions. The ability to embrace conflicting ideas and paradox. Different is not dangerous. We learn from our differences. We value them. We appreciate the harmony of science and religion and have compassion for all worldviews. So those are some of the characteristics of this emerging stage of consciousness. And let me ask this question. Is any of this sounding familiar to you? Are there more than just a few of you out there who are thinking, hey, that sounds a little bit like what I believe? That's why we're here this morning. That's why we've all gathered here as a community, because these characteristics, and especially the values and the ideas that are behind them, they resonate with us at some deep level that we know. That's what draws us together. That's what brings us here as this community of faith, trusting that God is the principle of goodness and that human beings have the wisdom to use their gift of freedom to choose wisely and to choose the good. When we say positive, practical, and progressive, those words have some meaning. And so as we're getting ready to close here, it'd be a good time to summarize just what we're talking about when we say positive, practical, and progressive. Positive means we embrace our similarities and our differences. We believe that different is not dangerous. And for us, God is the principle of goodness and freedom, and human beings have the wisdom to use their freedom to choose the greater good. Practical means spiritual practice and enlightenment must transform the world, not just the individual. Spiritual practice leads to action in the world. And finally, progressive. Growth and transformation require change at the level of consciousness. And we are active participants in the evolution of human consciousness. We embrace the change that is required to bring that about. We are a part of the solution. That's the important thing to keep in mind. We are a part of the solution. So next week we're going to be starting the Easter season. Next Sunday is Palm Sunday. We're going to be talking next Sunday about the divinity of Jesus. Was Jesus God? Or did he leave us with something that we're supposed to puzzle out? Because remember what Jesus said. He said, "Who do you say that I am?" So that's the topic for next Sunday. And until then, have a positive, practical, and progressive week. And lots of luck with your purple bracelets. God bless you. We'll see you next Sunday. Thank you. Thank you.